You have stood in that Aldi aisle holding a bag of baby carrots, telling yourself you are saving money because everything at Aldi is supposed to be cheaper. You are not. That bag costs about the same, ounce for ounce, as the whole carrots 2 feet away, and it tastes worse. Nobody warned you. The sticker on the shelf never says this one is not actually a deal. It just sits there, quiet, looking like every other orange bag. And you grab it out of habit 50 times a year without ever once checking the math. That is the real story of this video. Not which Aldi products are bad. Which ones quietly take your money while wearing a low-price costume. Today we are ranking 12 Aldi items, worst offender first, working up to the one that costs shoppers the most money and gets talked about the least. It is not the sirloin steak tips. It is not the pickles. Stick around, because I am going to tell you the exact one I personally do not put in my cart anymore. Here is why this matters more than it sounds like it should. You do not shop Aldi once. You shop it every single week, sometimes twice. $1 wasted on one bag of carrots is nothing. $1 wasted on 12 or 15 items week after week for a year is real money gone. And nobody along the way felt like they overspent. That is the trap. Small leaks, not big mistakes. And here is the part that should actually make you angry, while you are distracted by the items that quietly waste your money. The genuinely good deals in this store rotate out and disappear before you even notice them. Nobody is paying Aldi to be on this list. This channel does not take money from any store or brand. We are only interested in one thing: you walking out of that store having wasted nothing. Number 12, the mildest offender, is the baby-cut carrot bag. Here is the honest concession. They are convenient. No peeling, no chopping, straight into the lunch bag. But the mechanism behind why they feel like a deal is simple, and it is worth understanding once so you never fall for it again. A whole carrot is one piece of produce, cut once by a machine to make it look like a miniature carrot. That extra cutting and washing step costs money, and that cost gets passed to you, even at a discount store. So the convenience tax eats almost the entire discount you thought you were getting. Independent testing has found these baby carrots priced within cents per ounce of whole carrots at Aldi, and within cents of the same product at full-price chains. You are not saving money. You are paying a processing fee and calling it a deal. In your kitchen next week, that bag goes soft and slimy 2 days before a whole carrot would, so you likely throw part of it out anyway. Grab it if you genuinely need the convenience for a lunchbox and you know you will use the whole bag within 3 days. Skip it if you already own a knife, because a 5-pound bag of whole carrots costs less per pound and lasts nearly twice as long in your crisper drawer. Buying baby carrots at a discount grocer is a little like paying for bottled tap water. You are buying convenience, not savings, and pretending otherwise is where the money leaks out. Number 11 is the bakery bagel. The concession here is real. The price is genuinely low, often under $3 for a full bag. But cheap flour and a fast commercial process cannot fake what a slow ferment does to bread, the same way a microwave cannot fake what an oven does to a roast. Shoppers online have repeatedly described the texture as dense and gummy, closer to bread shaped like a bagel than an actual bagel. In your kitchen, that means the toaster becomes mandatory, not optional. And half the bag often ends up stale by day 4 because the texture was never quite right to begin with. Grab it if you are toasting it heavily and topping it with something flavorful, where texture matters less. Skip it if you actually enjoy a chewy, crusty bagel, because you will end up buying a second, better bagel anyway, which means you paid for 2 breakfasts to get one you liked. Number 10, right next to it on the shelf, is the sourdough loaf. Same concession, same problem. It is inexpensive and it does exist on the shelf, which counts for something on a fixed budget. But true sourdough needs a long, slow fermentation to develop that tang and that chewy crumb. And a fast commercial version skips steps the way a photocopy skips the texture of the original document. It looks similar from across the room. Up close, it is not the same thing. Multiple shoppers report an odd aftertaste that lingers, which means it often ends up as toast smothered in butter rather than eaten plain. And butter is not free. Grab it if you are making French toast or croutons, where a strong topping covers the flavor. Skip it plain, because you will use twice the butter or jam to make it palatable, and that condiment cost quietly cancels out the bread savings. Quick gut check before we keep going. Notice the pattern so far. None of these three items are expensive mistakes on their own. They are small, repeatable ones. That is exactly the kind of leak this channel exists to catch, because nobody budgets for the bagels were a little worse than expected. And yet, it happens 52 weeks a year. If this is the first time someone has actually laid out why a cheap item is not the same as a good deal, that click you just felt in your head is worth passing along. Hit like, not for me, but because it tells this platform to put this video in front of the next person standing confused in that same aisle next week. If you are new here, subscribe, because this channel's entire promise is simple. No wasted money on any trip, no exceptions, no sponsor telling us what to say. Drop a number in the comments right now. How many of these first three items are currently sitting in your kitchen? I read every single one. Number 9 is jarred, sweet, bread and butter style pickles and similar jarred pickled vegetables, including the jalapenos and banana peppers. The honest concession is that the price per jar beats the name brand by a noticeable margin. And for someone eating a sandwich once a day, that adds up. Here is the mechanism, though. Getting a pickle both crisp and properly sour requires a specific brining process and enough time in the brine. Rush that step to move faster and cheaper through the factory. The way you would rush bread dough to save an hour. And the texture comes out soft instead of crisp, sometimes described by shoppers as cooked rather than pickled. In your kitchen, that means half the jar goes into the trash because the crunch that makes a pickle worth eating simply is not there. A jar that never gets finished is not a bargain. It is money donated to your refrigerator. Grab it if you are chopping them into a relish or a tuna salad, where texture matters less and flavor still comes through. Skip it if you eat pickles straight for that snap, because a jar you throw out half-finished costs more per actual bite than the pricier name brand you would have finished completely. Number 8 is the newer Berman specialty hot sauce flavors, the seasonal rotating ones rather than the everyday classic. Concession first, Aldi does hot sauce cheap, and the core lineup has real fans. But newer, trendier flavors are frequently developed fast to chase a social media trend. The same way a fast fashion shirt is copied from a runway look within weeks. Speed cuts corners on flavor balance. Shoppers online have specifically called out some of the newest additions as unbalanced and overly salty. Harsh enough that the bottle stalls out in the refrigerator door for months, sometimes over a year, unfinished. That bottle is money sitting in your fridge doing nothing. Grab it if you have tried that specific flavor already, in a friend's kitchen or a sample, and know you like it. Skip it if you are buying based on the label and the season alone, because an untested hot sauce is a small bet, and small bets that lose 50 times a year still add up to real money. Number 7, and this one is sneakier than the others, is unrefrigerated produce. Specifically items that some Aldi locations keep on a dry shelf, while other grocery stores refrigerate the same item. The concession is that dry storage saves the store money, and that savings is part of why the shelf price looks appealing in the first place. But produce breathes and loses moisture the way a sponge dries out sitting on the counter versus sitting in a damp sink. Warmer, drier storage speeds that process up. The result in your kitchen is produce that looks fine at checkout and turns soft, wilted, or moldy 2 or 3 days sooner than the identical item would have lasted from a refrigerated case. That means you are back at the store buying a replacement sooner than planned, which erases the original discount entirely. Grab it if you plan to cook or eat it within a day or two of purchase, where shelf life barely matters. Skip stocking up on it for the week, because cheap now, thrown out Thursday, is not actually cheap. Number 6 is standard deli lunch meat, the everyday ham and turkey rather than the Italian specialty items like prosciutto or salami, which get consistently better reviews. This is the point in the countdown where the money at stake starts climbing, because lunch meat gets bought weekly by people packing lunches, and it is not a $1 item. The honest mechanism: cheaper deli meat often uses a faster brining and processing method, similar to how a fast dry cleaner presses a shirt quickly instead of steaming it properly. And the shortcut shows up in taste and texture, which multiple shoppers describe as a funky flavor and rubbery bite compared to name-brand deli counters. In your kitchen, that means the sandwich gets eaten reluctantly, or the meat sits until it needs to be thrown out because nobody wants to reach for it. Grab it if you are cooking it into a casserole or soup where seasoning covers the flavor gap entirely. Skip it for a plain sandwich, since a package that goes half-eaten before the date on the label is not a discount, it is food waste with a receipt attached. Number 5 is the frozen sirloin steak tips in gravy. This one carries real weight in the cart, both literally and financially, because frozen entrees in this price range are meant to replace a real cooked dinner. The concession is fair. On a hectic weeknight, having a protein-based meal ready in minutes has genuine value, and the price beats a similar frozen product at a full-price grocer. But steak tips are a leaner cut, and a leaner cut cooked fast in a factory freezing line. The same way you cannot slow braise something on a factory timeline tends to come out tougher than the same cut simmered slowly at home. Shoppers specifically flag this item as one to avoid. In your kitchen, that means a dinner that gets picked at rather than finished, and a family member quietly ordering takeout later that night, which is the actual expensive outcome here. Grab it if you plan to simmer it further yourself, adding time and liquid to soften the meat before serving. Skip it if you are counting on it to be dinner in 8 minutes flat, because a skipped dinner that turns into delivery costs far more than the frozen tray ever saved you. Number 4 is the Thai coconut chicken frozen entree. Same category, same stakes, a real dinner replacement price point. The concession, the concept is appealing, and on paper it reads like a restaurant-style meal for a fraction of the cost. The mechanism working against it is that coconut flavor is delicate and gets easily overwhelmed by salt used for shelf stability, the way a quiet voice gets drowned out in a loud room. Multiple shoppers describe the result as salty and watery, with barely any coconut flavor coming through at all. In your kitchen, a meal that tastes flat gets finished out of obligation, not enjoyment. And the next time hunger strikes, a second, more satisfying purchase often follows. Grab it if you are doctoring it yourself with a splash of real coconut milk or extra spice at home. Skip it if you are expecting the box photo to match the bowl, because that gap is exactly where the wasted money hides. Number 3 is the Hawaiian-style chicken frozen entree. I want to be careful and precise here, because this is a taste complaint, not a safety claim, and I am not going to repeat an exaggerated version of it. Some shoppers online have described the flavor as artificial tasting and unpleasant, strong enough that they specifically warn others away from it. The likely mechanism is a sweet and savory glaze that leans hard on preservatives and concentrated flavoring to survive the freezer. The same way an artificial sweetener can taste close to sugar, but slightly off, in a way your mouth notices even if you cannot explain why. In your kitchen, an off-tasting dinner gets one bite, then gets scraped into the trash, and the freezer money is gone along with it. Grab it if you have tried a single serving first and specifically liked it, since palates genuinely vary here. Skip it as a blind buy for the whole family, because feeding 4 people something nobody finishes is one of the most expensive mistakes on this entire list. Number 2 is the artichoke stuffed chicken. This item sits near the top of price and near the bottom of satisfaction, based on repeated shopper complaints describing it as dry with poor filling. Stuffed and rolled chicken is one of the harder items to freeze and reheat well, because the filling and the meat lose moisture at different rates, similar to how a car with 2 mismatched tires wears unevenly no matter how well you drive it. The result, according to shoppers, is dry meat around a stuffing that does not deliver on flavor. In your kitchen, this is the entree most likely to get one skeptical bite and then get set aside, meaning you paid a premium price for a meal that becomes a side dish nobody wanted. Grab it if you are slicing it thin and serving it over a sauce that adds moisture back in. Skip it as a standalone dinner, because at this price point, one failed meal a month adds up to real, noticeable money over a year. Now here is the pivot. Everything up to this point cost you a little quality, a little freshness, maybe one disappointing dinner. What comes next is different, because it does not just waste $1 here and there. It is built on purpose to change how you shop in the first place, and that is worth grabbing your full attention for. Because the good deals in this store genuinely are worth chasing, once you know which aisle is playing you and which one is not. Number 1. The real ripoff on this entire list is not a food item at all. It is the middle aisle Aldi officially calls Aldi Finds and shoppers nickname the Aisle of Shame, restocked with new, non-grocery items roughly once a week, usually on Wednesday. The concession, and it is a real one, is that some of these items are genuinely good value, from kitchen tools to seasonal gear priced well below a specialty retailer. That is not the trap. The trap is the mechanism sitting underneath it. These items are stocked in limited quantity with no guaranteed restock, which manufactures urgency the same way a countdown clock on a shopping website pressures you to check out before you have finished thinking it through. One retail analyst estimated that roughly 1/5 of Aldi's entire yearly sales come from this rotating aisle alone, which tells you the scarcity strategy works exactly as designed. In your actual life, this plays out as a grocery trip for milk and bread that somehow also includes a countertop gadget, a seasonal candle, or a pair of sneakers you did not walk in with the intention of buying, purchased in the moment because it might be gone next week. One shopper interviewed about this exact aisle admitted to spending around $150 a trip on things she never planned to buy. That is not a grocery bill anymore. That is an impulse tax, dressed up as a treasure hunt. And it is the single biggest reason a cheap grocery trip quietly turns into an expensive one. Grab it if you set a firm dollar limit before you walk in, and you actually stick to it, treating it like a fun bonus rather than the point of the trip. Skip walking down that aisle at all if you know your budget is tight this month, because the fastest way to protect a grocery budget is to never give temptation the chance to make its pitch. If you remember only one line from this video, remember this: the aisle without a price tag problem is the one with the psychology problem, and that costs more than any bad pickle ever could. So here is the whole video in 2 buckets you can actually carry into the store with you. Bucket 1. Small quality misses that will not break you, but quietly chip away at value. The baby carrots, the bagels, the sourdough, the jarred pickles, the newer specialty hot sauces, and unrefrigerated produce you are not eating within a day or two. Buy these only when the specific use case fits. Cooked into something, chopped up, or eaten fast, never as the centerpiece. Bucket 2. Bigger ticket disappointments and the psychological trap. The deli lunch meat for sandwiches. The frozen sirloin tips. The Thai coconut chicken, the Hawaiian-style chicken, the artichoke stuffed chicken, and above all, the aisle of shame without a plan. These are where real dollars, not pennies, are on the line. Here is your 30-second check, and it needs zero product knowledge at all. Before anything, food or otherwise, goes in your cart at Aldi. Ask yourself one question out loud if you have to. Was this already on my list before I saw it? Or did the shelf convince me just now? If it was already on your list, you are shopping. If the shelf convinced you in the last 10 seconds, you are being sold to, and that is exactly the moment to put it back and walk on. That single habit will save you more money this year than memorizing any list of 12 products ever could. 2 quick tips before you go, and both are completely free. First, shop the perimeter for anything you plan to eat within 2 days, since that is where the freshest, least processed stock tends to sit, and build your frozen and pantry items around that core. Second, if you are tempted by anything in that middle aisle, physically put it in your cart, finish your entire grocery list, and decide at the very end, at the register line, whether you still want it. 9 times out of 10, the urgency fades the moment it is no longer the only thing on the shelf in front of you. One more thing before you go. If you have a specific product sitting in your cabinet right now that you are not sure about, tell me exactly what it is in the comments. Name and size if you have it, and I will give you an honest answer, not a guess. This channel runs on real questions from real shoppers, and I read every single one. The real deal at any discount store was never about the lowest price tag. It was always about which of those prices you actually finish, use, and are glad you paid. Next week, we are flipping this whole list around, walking the same aisles to find the 12 Aldi items longtime shoppers say quietly beat the name brand every single time. No exceptions. No gimmicks. See you there.